Hey guys, okay, great question. Basically, if you're a GA player or a sports person, how do you go about not losing size? So basically, the message, just to paraphrase it, was saying, "Hey Brian, I see you're gone back playing GAA. How do you hold your size while you're back playing sport?" For anyone that's following my Snapchat, you know I've gone back doing GAA, even though I've missed like a week and a half of training just because of the book deadline and stuff like that. I've been up to my ears with it, but I've gone back playing, and basically my philosophy has changed a little bit since last time I played. I was always kind of a big enough guy when I played before, but my actual knowledge of understanding of training and nutrition now is way ahead of when I played, 3-4 years ago. So basically, to hold your size as a sports person, it doesn't matter what sport you're playing. I'm talking more endurance-based sports, so football, hurling, soccer, basketball, rugby, these kind of sports. How you can play these sports and still hold your size. The reality is it comes down to the basics, your nutrition, your supplementation, your training. Nutrition is the most important of the lot. The reality is, because I'm back training now, and normally my football training or my games comes as part of my split. So I've trained in the morning doing my gym program, and then I've done my GA training at night time. So I'm obviously using way more glycogen stores, so my stored carbohydrate, and I've talked about this in other videos where your glycogen stores are the amount of carbohydrates your body holds and uses, your muscle glycogen, your brain glycogen. I obviously need to keep those stores full. Most people have about 450 grams worth of glycogen stores in the carbohydrate, plus 50 to 100 depending on each person, and obviously metabolism comes into effect there, but that's kind of the general number. So keeping your carbs at a higher level, around that 300-400 mark, is going to keep optimum levels of glycogen for the likes of for me. So I know when I go and train and I'm working through glycogen, my body's never actually going to tap into any of the muscle or amino acids in the muscle because my glycogen levels are so full. So keeping your carbohydrates high is really the key to keeping your size when you're playing sport. Because the reality is, a football session or a game could go on for an hour, 90 minutes if you're playing soccer, and longer if you're training. Training sessions for GA and hurling normally last about 2 hours. So you're burning through a lot of carbohydrates, you're burning through a lot of glucose, you're burning through a lot of glycogen. What happens when people lose their size is because they don't have enough glycogen stores, and their body starts to tap into the amino acids and it's called glucogenesis. It's where your body uses the protein that you have that you've eaten and turns it into glucose so you can use it for energy. But the same thing, it can break down muscle, break down the amino acids that are in the muscle and use that for fuel. It's purely because you're under eating carbohydrate and you're letting your glycogen stores drop too low. That's the most important thing. So keeping carbohydrates higher is obviously going to stop that. Then things with supplements, making sure that your branched chains, that you're constantly keeping your amino acids high. The same thing works for people that are in body composition. If you're a fitness model or you want to look like a bikini girl or whatever it is, same rules apply. You need to keep your amino acids, particularly things like leucine, high, because leucine is like the powerhouse of amino acids. There's 20 amino acids, but leucine is the most potent of all of them. It's the one that literally triggers protein synthesis. It gets your body holding the muscle that you have, and it allows you to build more muscle because of the breakdown of the aminos. So supplementing with branched chain amino acids throughout the day while you're playing sport. The reality is, if your glycogen stores are high, and you just got to give yourself a bit of a backup. It's kind of like, if you're going into a fight, you want the fucking biggest guy behind you. You can be in decent shape, that's your carbohydrates, and your fucking big guy behind you is your amino acids. It's like, for whatever reason, you get knocked down, you've got your big mate behind you. That's what amino acids do to the carbohydrate. They'll support it. So for whatever reason, you've burnt through the glycogen and the carbohydrates, you've got amino acids there, so your body's like, oh, okay, I'll use those, so you don't actually burn into your own muscle. So use it as kind of a backup plan. And then the last thing is your training. It really depends. Nutrition and supplementation are the most important, nutrition being obviously the king. But your training also, the whole size, you want to do things that are like, don't detriment your sport and your performance. So I'm doing a lot of glute work, kettlebell work, TRX, things like that, body weight movements. But I'm also sticking with like hypertrophy parameters. So the bodybuilding style parameters. So I'm doing 3 sets of 10 on something, or 3 sets of 8, or 4 sets of 10, or whatever it is, or a superset with bench press and lat pull downs and those hypertrophy moves, so that my body doesn't fall out of that routine of having those fibers torn down. That'll hold all of your size. You don't actually have to do as much of it, because obviously I've been training 12 years, So I have muscle memory and muscle maturity there that I can take 2 weeks off and not lose any size because I've been training for so long. But there was times, 5-6 years ago when I didn't have that amount of muscle maturity where I would just incorporate that side of training 3-4 times a week, and that would hold my size while I was playing sport. So they're my 3 tips to holding your size as a sports person. Please like and share the page. If you've got any comments, I'll be replying for the next 24 hours.